What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to be breaking down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar affecting Tesla, what's happening with the share price, and what the news is also saying about Tesla. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 6 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks plus 6 months of level 2 data. And putting in $25,000 or more guarantees you 70 free stocks plus 12 months of level 2 data. The offer ends in just about 8 hours from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the markets. I had a very, very hectic day today. Today was my birthday. Today is my birthday, technically. And I woke up to a massive thunderstorm. So that's one way to start my day. And then someone in my family had an incident. They were basically stopped at a traffic stop and they ended up getting stuck there. Their car was not working and they were stuck, which led to more traffic and more anger from other drivers. So, since I was very close by, I decided to help resolve the situation. I went there and I managed to help repair the car on the spot, and it happened pretty quick. Everything was okay. Nobody got hurt, fortunately, and things are fine. The only issue was I ended up just being very late for my day. I'm very late recording this video. That's why I'm going to try to record this very quickly. So please, guys, remember to stay safe out there when you're driving, especially during storms and such. Now let's talk about Tesla and the market. So Tesla was down 0.56% for the day, looking relatively weak. In my video from yesterday, in my video from the morning, I said Tesla's going to likely pop today, push up towards that 260 resistance, then reject, get a big rejection, come right back down. I said by tomorrow it should have rejected like this. It ended up happening today, so that was no surprise whatsoever looking at the current technicals. Now that Tesla got this rejection, the question is how is it looking? What should we be expecting going into tomorrow? I'll be talking about this over the next couple of minutes. So 1 hour before the market opens, we have the housing starts data coming out, some building permits and housing data. Watch and see what this causes for the markets. Everything's going to be very close to expectations, most likely, with a consensus of 1.36 house starts. Then, an hour after market open, we have the New York Fed Treasury purchases from the 2.25 to 4.5 years. The consensus is about $80 million. This tends to not be that significant or that crazy, so I'm not going to expect this to cause anything that crazy, but there could be some volatility at that time. Besides that, tomorrow is going to be another light data day. There's nothing too crazy coming out like initial jobless claims or CPI. Nothing crazy for tomorrow. This data is very minor, but we could see some volatility at the times I named. Now, there's one thing that does concern me about the markets, and that is the fear and greed index is now at extreme greed. We're seeing other indicators at these extremes, especially the puts and call options at extreme greed. We're approaching this very, very low ratio between the puts and calls right now. It's very close to where we saw the market basically top, which suggests that the market could be in a topping process. Now, if the market holds up, let me make this very clear. If the market holds up, guys, that's going to be fine. Let's just say the market gets a temporary pullback, right? But then it ends up bouncing. We see one more rally to end the year. If that's what happens, if the market still remains strong for December, right? If it still holds up, I'm not going to become a mega, mega bull for 2024, at least for the start of it. I think that 2024 could still be a strong year, but to start off the year, we might start kind of weak. There could be a pullback coming in January to February during that period because of how indicators just ran so much with no downside, because of how overbought everything is, and because of other pieces of manipulation. So I just wanted to warn you about that. The fear and greed index is suggesting that the market could be in a topping process. This does not mean the market has to crash tomorrow. It means that the market could be in a topping process. It may take a few weeks, a few more days, but it just means you need to be very cautious and very careful. When everyone is too greedy, this is when the market tends to turn. Make sure you guys are very careful going into 2024 and for the next couple of weeks. Some news came out that Tesla is going to be raising pay for hourly Nevada Gigafactory workers in January. This could once again help stave off some union interest. That's going to be a 10% increase for the hourly pay rates for some workers. That's going to be some good news for them, I guess, but it's also going to affect Tesla. This is part of why we saw some downside for Tesla, not to mention other big factors. On top of this, Tesla confirms the wireless inductive electric car home charger is coming. That's great news for Tesla. I went over this in more detail in my intraday video, so if you want to see more details, just watch that. But this is good news for Tesla. There's also some news that Audi introduces a $60,000 Tesla competitor. That's good news for them, but just know, guys, just because there's a new EV does not mean it's bad news for Tesla. Tesla likes competition, and the demand for Tesla is still high regardless. But we don't have to compare Tesla to everything. I know the media loves to do that, but if anything, let the competition begin. I think Tesla's still going to have high competition. Tesla's going to have high demand anyways, and they're going to be fine nonetheless. Tesla's volume is kind of weak, 116 million, a bit below average, and we're not getting as much aggressive buying as what we saw from before, and the short volume is starting to go up just a bit on Tesla. On top of all of this, Guggenheim gave Tesla a sell rating just a few days ago. That's part of why Tesla sold off. Negative ratings from analysts who are spreading fear, saying that Tesla is overbought, Tesla is overvalued, and we have downside coming. Tesla also ran very hard with a little downside, so that's no surprise to see this. The price price ratio is dropping because Tesla lost some strength today. And Tuesdays have a tendency of being green about 52% of the time, so it's almost 50-50. December tends to not be the strongest month, but January tends to be much stronger. But this also comes as a dependence on Tesla's deliveries for the year. So that being said, watch for volatility at 11 o'clock a.m., around noon, and then at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch and see how Tesla ends up performing. Now I'm going to try to be very quick with this part. What do I see for the charts? Honestly, guys, Tesla looks kind of weak to me. It closed red when the market held up. In my prediction, I said that Tesla is going to approach this orange trend line, then reject and come back down towards the yellow trend line. That's very close to what happened, a little pop and drop. Now, what do I see for Tesla? The answer is it depends on how Tesla reacts to this big test. We're going to be testing this yellow trend line of support at this 250.7 to 251 zone, the very low 250s. If we lose the yellow trend line, if we lose this, I expect Tesla to start sinking back down towards 248, if not even below that at 247. I expect more downside if we lose the yellow trend line. If we bounce off it, we could get one more attempt to push up to 254, but so far, from a technical standpoint, Tesla's looking kind of weak. On the 4-hour time frame, if I zoom out of the chart like this, you guys can see Tesla had a bearish divergence. It's turning right here. The MACD is about to turn bearish. Tesla may pop tomorrow, retest 254 to grab some liquidity, then come back down. And I think that's going to be testing 248. Okay. So the bullish case would be a bounce off the yellow trend line to make our way back up to 255 and hold there. The bearish case is us losing this yellow trend line, this support, and just breaking down to 248. What do I favor personally? I think that there's a better chance that Tesla's going to come down to 248 to retest this wick right over here. Watch some more liquidity to be grabbed at 247.5 to 248 for a little bit of downside. I do favor that a little bit more looking at the technicals, but just to be safe, let's wait and see how Tesla ends up reacting. If we get some kind of like bounce like this too before we get the pullback, this could be resembling a left shoulder, right? The head up here. Maybe it's about to form like a right shoulder before we see some downside, right? Just a possibility. So, do I promise it's going to pull back? No, I do favor that it's going to pull back like this. I do favor this, but I need to see this yellow trend line break for confirmation. I think it might end up doing that. Look for a little pop and drop again. We tend to see Tesla pop first in the morning before it ends up selling off because of how liquidity is positioned in the markets. As far as SPY goes, I'm still in the middle and leaning a bit more bearish, but just to be safe, let me explain. If we're bullish, you want to see SPY break 474. If we break 474, you want to see it break and hold that, and then we're going to be pushing for 476 and 478. If we're bearish, you want to see this big rejection right over here and a move back down to 470. If that fails, let's watch this come down towards the 468s, very close to that gap fill. What do I think is more likely for SPY? In my honest opinion, guys, since we're making a lower high, we ended up rejecting at 473 and we came back down at near close. We're also dropping in the after hours, which is not the best of signs. So if we establish a lower high here, this would turn more bearish. I favor that SPY is going to come down to 470 very soon and retrace just a bit. And I think that that's more probable. But I will change my opinion depending on the price action. If SPY can break 474, I will turn bullish. What do I think is more likely? I think we're more likely to come back down to 470, maybe even below that, to fill this gap down here. The reason why I say that is not just because of divergences and such, not just because of the indicators, but also because of, this trend right over here. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, 4 hours looking a bit more bearish. We're establishing a lower high right here. And if anything, I would say that we're starting to lose some strength. So it's looking a little bit weaker than before. It's not super, super strong. We need to see a follow through move below 470 to turn more bearish. There's a good chance it's going to be testing our 4-hour 200 EMA, the 4-hour 20 EMA, at 469. So once again, there's a bullish case, there's a bearish case. I favor the bearish case a bit more, and I'm going to be watching for confirmation to see how SPY reacts when we open. On the QQQ, we had this yellow trend line where we were just uptrending over and over and over again. We could even redraw the trend line with the blue one. I think this thing could push a little bit more towards 408s to 410 and then just get a rejection and eventually make its way down to 404. The reason why this held up is because of Nvidia and also partly because of Apple. But we want to be careful as we see those stocks approaching their extremes. So I think that the QQQ might turn as well, looking at the current technicals on it. I think that it could push a little higher towards 408s to 410, then come back down. And I think it could be revisiting the 20 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. Look for a pop and then a drop down. It could be retesting the 404 zone, and I think that there's a good chance of that potentially playing out. On Nvidia, we're just barely holding $500, so watch that very carefully. And I just wanted to add that when you look at Nvidia like this, Nvidia is once again it hit this liquidity right here, and we got a nice rejection. So we'll see if we get a follow through move down. If we're bullish, you want to see it break 504. If it breaks, that's going to push it for 508 plus. If we're bearish, you want to see it lose 498 and come down to 495. What do I think is more likely? In my opinion, after this big rejection right over here, it looks to me like Nvidia is going to revisit this 498 area, then eventually 495. I think it's going to be coming back down to 495 at least, and maybe revisit this breakout zone around 492. So I see a little retracement coming, and I think that Nvidia is going to grab some liquidity. If we break 504, I will change my opinion and turn bullish. Otherwise, I favor it's going to come back down to this level. That's what I think is more probable. Finally, for the last ticker I'm going to talk about on TradingView, I have Apple. Apple has this downtrend. You guys can see this. When stocks are in downtrends, typically you have to presume they're going to remain in their downtrend channels unless we get some kind of break. So if Apple breaks out of this is going to be bullish. If we try to break out of the downtrend, we start pushing up. 197 plus, then 198 is coming if we get a break like this. However, there's no sign on the charts that Apple is broken out yet. So I can't just lie and assume it's going to happen. I have to wait and see for me to turn bullish. Otherwise, right now, the trend is bearish. We're making lower highs and lower lows. We're downtrending. We're just continuing to fall. And the odds do favor this potentially continuing unless we get a break. But so far it hasn't happened. So I see a 194.4 retest and some weakness on Apple. Now I'm just going to go over a couple more very, very quickly, very briefly. I just want to mention that let's just start off with Microsoft. Microsoft managed to break out. It could push a little higher towards 375. 373.5 then 375. Very close to this imbalance before rejection. We'll be watching that very carefully. As far as AMD goes, AMD is looking a bit more bearish. Watch for 137. If we lose this, watch for 135. If we continue lower, if you look at the VIX is currently still not really giving us confirmation for a breakout yet. It's just barely testing the 20 EMA. So we'll be watching to see if this could break as well. Watch the SQQQ. There's not really anything going on with these yet. They're very flat. So I'm going to be waiting just to see. For Coinbase, if we break 155, I think it's going to be pushing for 160. That's going to be our next level. The weekly 200 EMA is going to be at 168, by the way, so there is potential for it to push higher now. It looks bullish on the 4 hours, so I could see a 155 retest and maybe another break on it. Google is trying to break out, but it kind of pushed very hard. Now it's starting to retrace a bit. I think it might actually retest 136.23, then eventually 135, then bounce. So I can see it retracing a bit, then bouncing. As of right now, it pushed up very hard. It's kind of overbought, so it might do that. Amazon got a very strong close. It might do something similar to Google and kind of like retrace a bit, retest 152, then try to bounce. But I just want to note that Amazon, I never said Amazon was going to fall. That's one of those tickers I said that it still remains pretty bullish. And to this day, it could still be on a nice uptrend. There's no sign of this market structure change. It could retrace a bit towards 152 and then bounce. But I see a little retracement coming for that and also for Meta. Meta got a nice bounce, but we're going to be watching for a retracement towards 342. If that fails us, watch it come down to 340. We'll see if that ends up holding as support. If not, 336 is going to come. But I think it's going to revisit around the 340 range, and then we'll see if it bounces. But that's what I'm seeing for Meta. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for listening. I know today was a very crazy day. Tomorrow should be much better. Tesla's looking a bit more bearish from a technical standpoint now, so watch it very carefully. Watch our test and see how this liquidity grab ends up affecting it. Anyways, that's it for this one. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I will see you guys in the next video very, very soon. Thanks again, guys, and peace out.